Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 11 today for the Austrian Grand Prix in Season 1. I can't believe we've actually caught back up to the real-life season, of course, a little bit different in catching up to the real-life season, but we're already at the Austrian Grand Prix, and we're just about halfway, because of course it's a 22-race calendar, so for once, unusually, we can actually get to halfway, literally as like a one race, in between episodes, because usually it's an odd numbered calendar, but we're here, episode 11. Once we've done this one, we are officially halfway through the season, flying through this with the daily uploads, and massive thank you to you guys for the support on the series so far. It's been insane for the last 10 episodes, but we continue on, and we've got some activities to look to before this Austrian Grand Prix. Only 2 days worth, though, so we don't actually have much choice for what we can do. We're just going to go for the sponsor event, shock horror, try and get the acclaim up as high as we can, because today we can actually look at a new sponsor. So we're already at level 10 for the new sponsor, but looking to boost that further, because I assume level 15 then is the final and fourth secondary sponsor we can get. But today's episode, at the very beginning here, we can choose a new sponsor. But before we get on to that, we've got over $3.5 million to potentially spend on upgrades on the HQ. But I'm actually going to say right now, let's just hold station a little bit on any upgrades right now and just assess where we are, right? So we've got next episode, I think, should be when we choose what we're going to do with our teammate. Obviously, Schumacher's contract is going to be up, and I got you guys to start voting on what we should do. If you didn't see that vote, by the way, I'll put that same straw poll back in this description and the comment section of this video, and you can continue to vote if you haven't voted already. But that decision will actually now, come to fruition next episode when we decide what to do once Schumacher's contract's up. We're going to get this third new sponsor in that will hopefully add some more money that we're going to get every single week. But we've kind of come to crossroads in terms of, okay, we know we're going to spend at least 1.5 million plus on a new teammate next episode, and at the same time, I was just looking around, we've got still a lot of the R&D tree to actually purchase with just R&D upgrades and R&D points before we really need to, look at anything else on the HQ. I know HQ upgrades can reduce the time of upgrades, they can, reduce the failure rates for whatnot, but at this stage, I feel like now's the time to do that saving I talked about and invest in the marketing department. In terms of R&D, let's just try and focus on actually filling up the R&D tree with the upgrades we're still yet to do. Let's then save the money whilst we do our teammate as well, save some money on the side, invest in that marketing department, early doors here, like I've always wanted to do from the start. I've said that, I've made it very, very clear. And then afterwards, then towards the back end of the season, the last third or last fifth, really, then we'll do some final HQ upgrades before we hit the winter break. I think it's a very kind of long-term plan I'm kind of laying out here for you guys, but I feel like it's the right way to go. Let me know what you guys think, and thumbs up any comments that you kind of like the idea of your thoughts on that plan. But that's where I'm at in terms of my head, in terms of where I think we should be looking. But we're going to move on then, like I said, to that brand new sponsor, and it's really exciting times because we've got some really juicy new sponsor opportunities, and the best one we've got here is number one, Satellite. We've got the highest weekly income from them, so that's a no-brainer anyway, but the goal bonus is astronomically big, and the actual goal you have to do to get the bonus is 100 laps during a race weekend. That is a no-brainer. That is a no-brainer. I don't know if this is the same sponsor that you guys could get at home, maybe in your career mode saves, or it's a little bit randomized. I don't know, but Satellite seems like an absolutely worldly sponsor to get for us here at this moment in time, because I think we need a lot of cash, because 5 million that's what the marketing department's going to cost, so we upgrade that, and we don't even have 5 million yet, and we need to spend at least 1.5 to 2 million on a teammate next episode. So a sponsor like this will be amazing, and if you think about it, in a race weekend, we should just about get 100 laps under our belt every single time, guaranteed, because you think about 2 times the race distance for me and Schumacher, because it's as a team, so me times my teammate, 2 times the Grand Prix length, then you've got maybe 4-5 laps in qualifying, add those on, so that's 10 added on, and then a few practice laps. The only thing it will be, maybe off camera, I might need to pad out the laps a little bit, because at the moment I simulate the practice programs to get through, obviously to save myself time in recording stuff, but maybe now off camera. I might need just to grind a little bit, do a few laps for the sake of doing laps in practice, just to make sure we tick over the 100 mark. But it's a small price to pay for me off camera to ensure we get a 400k bonus. Are you kidding me? 400k. Absolutely awesome. And I actually like the logo quite a lot. The square version of the logo fits really nicely on our car and fills up a lot of space. So I really like that compared to some other logos, which are they end up being quite small on the car itself. So the car is looking lovely, nice and filled up those sponsors. And so welcome Satellite on board to the Aarava Archer Racing team. So we move forward then as we advance time towards the Austrian Grand Prix. I joked about this at the end of the last episode, and it unfortunately has happened. The front major downforce upgrade has failed, so we do not have an upgrade for the car this race weekend. It means we haven't had an upgrade on the car for about 2, I think even 3 episodes, maybe I think 2 episodes. One thing though is it will mean when we do repurchase this upgrade, potentially for next episode, the British Grand Prix, our home race, we could have a double whammy of the front downforce coming in guaranteed, and then hopefully the rear downforce upgrade does not fail on its first go, and we have 2 major upgrades coming at the same time. Big double whammy for the home race. That would be pretty sweet in a way. So, a little bit of a silver lining that kind of way, I guess. And so as we move forward into the race weekend, this is during practice, or after practice rather, we have enough R&D points, so we do repurchase that front downforce upgrade. That's guaranteed now to come in for the British Grand Prix, but I'm really hoping, and I want you guys to cross your fingers at home, the rear downforce doesn't fail, because that would be really sweet to get both those on the car straight away for the home GP. And of course, it's going to be a special time. We're going to decide what we can do with the teammate situation. Maybe a lot more cash in the team after this race weekend with this new bonus payout, and just thinking about what we're going to do going forward with the HQ upgrade. So quite a big episode next time out. So hopefully in tandem, these 2 upgrades on the aero side can come in at the same time. So fingers crossed the rear one doesn't fail. Knowing me, knowing our career and the history, yeah, it's just going to be bad luck and it is going to fail. But hey ho, you can continue on. And so here we are continuing on into the Austrian Grand Prix race weekend. We did many laps in practice to make sure I get that 100 lap kind of goal, and so we're here into Q1 to just try and qualify for the grid tomorrow. There is some rain forecast for Sunday, so that might be interesting. I'm not exactly confident of our car in the wet conditions, but it certainly would mix things up if it does indeed come, because obviously the forecast could change as we go on through the race weekend. But here we are then trying to finish out our first flying lap. A little bit of understeer through the last sector, but generally speaking the car was feeling alright. But that's always the issue sometimes. It's kind of a worry when your car feels okay but is still slow. So we really are longing for upgrades. Like I said, now it's going to be 3 episodes and counting since our last actual proper upgrade. I think that wasn't from like Honda or whatever. So, either way though, we've been making the most of it, of course. Our car's suited certain circuits and the engine is still very good. It's still like, better than half the grid. So that's been helping out, obviously, at races like France, and also some bonkers strategies and miracle strategies like at France have helped us out. So we'll see how this one goes, and I continue to be very positive what we can do every episode. But qualifying up in P15 as it stands right now, but as we come through to the end of this session, the last 5 seconds, we are still P15, so we would be up into Q2, but it's going to be that classic case of we go to the black loading screen, come back out of it, and we come out and we're out. Just about, though, only P17, so we were quite close, actually. But Mick Schumacher, horrendous qualifying. Don't know what's gone on there. I don't know if, he knows that the teammate's situation is a little bit weird for him, and maybe he's just, demotivated. I don't know, but I don't know why he was so off the pace here for some reason, because the car should, in theory, go well. It is a power circuit, and we still got power, like I said. We're just lacking a little bit of overall downforce, I guess, and chassis kind of, rigidity in mid-corner and whatnot, but I feel like our car should go kind of well against our kind of rivals of Haas and Williams, at least. But the Renault guy is looking very good. My main rival, obviously, that I've got in-game right now, Ocon, that I need to beat to get some more acclaim. He's qualified way up the order in Q1. I hope he doesn't carry forward that same speed into Q2 and 3, but if he does, we might be in trouble of losing out to the rival battle this episode for sure. So it's going to be an interesting one. Starting P17, some rain maybe on the way. Let's hope we can be on the right side of the chaos.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. The grandstands were a sea of red in 2019 thanks to the commemorative hats in honour of the late great Niki Lauda, who took home victory, of course, back in 1984. And it's a sellout crowd once again here today. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 rights and 3 lefts, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Vettel, Verstappen, Alexander Albon, and Stroll, Perez, Sainz, Raikkonen and Esteban Ocon, Giovinazzi, Gasly, Daniel Kvyat and Leclerc. They've taken a grid penalty. Grosjean, Ricciardo, a Mercedes and Lando Norris, Magnussen, Russell, Latifi and Mick Schumacher. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So, yep, like I said, it is indeed raining at the start of this Grand Prix. We all start on intermediate tyres, but you can see on the weather indicator, it's going to get dry pretty quickly. It doesn't actually look that wet out there in those intro screens to Sunday, so I reckon it might dry out within the first 7 laps, maybe. Let's take a guess. So, in terms of strategy, we're just going to obviously start on the inters. It's apparently a one-stop onto another set of inters, but we know we'll swap over indefinitely to a set of dry tyres. What dry tyres? I don't really know, because I don't know how long the tyres go around here. It's my first time around this circuit in my team career mode, so we're just going to have to guess on the fly and take a stab into the unknown. But here we go then to 5 red lights at the Austrian Grand Prix in the wet. 5 lights are out, and we're underway for round number 11 of this season, and it's a cautious start, I would say, towards turn 1. A little bit shaky on the rear end for a few AI cars. We go round the outside of 2 cars, the Haas and the Renault Ricciardo and Grosjean respectively there, as the mist comes ahead of us with the spray from the back of Leclerc and Kvyat's car. But it's been a decent start for us. P15 up 2 places, but look at Grosjean go. Massive dive by the Haas car. We're kind of boxed in by Leclerc, and there's a dive from the it's our teammate. I thought it was one of the other Haas cars. Schumacher in the wet. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Schumacher doing well in the wet. He's dived down the inside. He's overtaken us, and now we're under pressure from Kevin Magnussen on the inside. He's dived down the inside of us, and he's going to try not to get Schumacher as well. We've got Ricciardo on the left. Lando Norris is behind us. I don't know where he's come from. I think he got a grid penalty. Massive amount of oversteer for us, and it's going to be 3 wide into the next left. It's all kicking off here. This has been one of the most hectic lap ones we've had to date in the My Team career mode, and we are really struggling to get to grips and settling down into a rhythm of this wet Austrian Grand Prix. We move into lap number 2 then, and Ricciardo all over the back of us into turn 1, and yeah, really trying to find my feet and unable to find it and find any grip really. But you can see there's not really a lot of spray now already on the second lap, so I feel like the track is already drying out as the sun is peering through there on the left as we go very defensive to try and block off Ricciardo and maintain the P18. But meanwhile, his teammate, my actual rival in the season as it stands, Ocon, he's miles ahead in the front there, in near the top 10, because he qualified very well, and I think actually just about made it to Q3 or just outside of it. So we've got some issues. We're behind our teammate, behind our rival, so we need to get a move on here and hope we find some pace as the track dries out, or, hopefully then once the track does dry out and we go to slick tyres, maybe I have way more pace on the slicks. I'm yet to really tell on F1 2020 whether I like the wet or not. Remember last year at the start of the game cycle, the AI was so poor in the wet, then there was that patch, and then they became OP in the wet, so it's a bit of a weird one. I don't know where we are right now. I feel like it's quite balanced actually as it stands in the F1 2020 game, as we now try and close up to Kevin Magnussen to make a massive dart to the inside. They're very close to the left-hand side, take him wide, but we get the job done, and needs must, really. That's what he did to us, remember, on lap 1, so basically just repaying the favour there, but, having to force the issue a little bit, and, not waiting around for the track to come to me, just wrestling the car through and making the most of it, basically. And that's exactly what we continue to do as we chase after our teammate then, Mick Schumacher, the first time he's been ahead of us comfortably in a Grand Prix so far. So, I don't know, in what could be his final race for the team, or maybe not, could be the start of his second half of the season. He's put on a good show and showing maybe what he's got and why he should maybe stay in the team. I don't know, but we dive down the inside because we've got some pace now, got some confidence finally in this Grand Prix. It's going to be so close on the left-hand side there with the rear end very close to his front right, but we get the job done and we're up into P16, but immediately on the next left, look at the understeer there, lock up on the front left and Schumacher's back down the inside, and so we go wheel to wheel with our teammate for the very first time in the My Team career, really having a good scrap with one of our teammates here. It's Mick Schumacher in the wet. Like I said, no surprise he's maybe taking to the wet conditions quite well, obviously taking after his father as we go down the inside to continue this battle. He's still there on the inside into the last corner, very wide, off circuit even, lift off there, Schumacher, and there's a massive wobble for the Renault. Oh my lord, oh my god, what chaos is this? Ricardo Spanitz in the wet, right behind us. He's hit the wall. I don't know if he's out the Grand Prix, but the virtual safety car's out. Maybe for him, as he has no front wing there. But what a calamity there for the Australian. But fantastic to see a natural AI mistake yet again in this career mode, in the wet as well. And there's a massive kerfuffle here. We've gone through 2 cars. Grosjean then unghosts, and we have to continue to be behind him due to virtual safety car. The virtual safety car now ends literally within like 10 seconds of it actually coming on, so that might be one of the shortest virtual safety cars ever. And with that, myself and Schumacher as a team, we've just finessed our way up the grid by 2 positions. So yeah, I mean, don't call us, call the FI about that. But this is a replay of what happened to Ricardo. We saw that off-board. Here's the on-board here. And, bit of a squat. See, Schumacher was trying to go around the outside of me, and Ricardo was trying to do the same thing to Schumacher. And as he went right, it was a bit too much. I guess the rear end lit up. He tried to catch it, and it just span to the wall. So it's an easy mistake for the player to do in the wet. It's great to finally see on the F1 game the AI can make the same mistakes in the wet as well. But then a replay here. This is what happened. Schumacher did the same thing as me. He just drove through 2 cars. Obviously, reminding you, it is a Formula 1 game. As much as I tried to commentate it as realistic as I can, guys, it is the F1 game, and it happens sometimes. So there you go. We've gained 2 positions. Think of it as a bit of charity. I mean, we were due some, I guess, because this episode, the failed upgrade, I guess the F1 gods took pity on us, I guess. So here we are then, up into P14 and 15 respectively, trying to now close up to Romain Grosjean. But our team are actually asking for a change of strategy, and that was my cue to maybe think about coming in for the pit stop, because it was getting so hard to turn the car on the front end, and it looks bone dry now, near enough. There's a bit of a sheen on the circuit, but I think it looks dry enough, so we're going to go for it. And we're going to make a very cheeky pass around the outside of Grosjean there, and that may be slightly illegal, but the F1 game allowed it. Obviously in real life that's not allowed because you have to stay within the white line even on the entry point, I'm pretty sure, but it's the game, like I said, needs must. And as an F1 driver, any F1 driver will tell you, you got to push the limits basically and do whatever it takes to get the extra advantage. So on the entry there, very cheeky, caught Grosjean napping, and so we're up 1 more position. So we've been very opportunistic. It's a wet to dry race. It's all about the chaos, and it's about making the most of the chaos. So you can't say I've not made the most of it, basically. But here we are, lap number 7 onto 8. It is dry, but it's also a little bit damp here. So we set a purple last sector, but we're also going wide and understeering. The rear and the front end really isn't biting that much. You can see how much understeer I've got in that first corner, and we just about make the corner, basically. But Giovinazzi now comes out behind us, so we've jumped the Alfa Romeo as well, who I believe stayed out for 1 more lap on the Inters. So it was the correct decision. So we've done a good undercut on a few cars there on the dry tyres, but now we are in P12 and we put on a set of soft tyres. I just went with whatever my engineer was telling me to do, and to be fair, we had 2 sets of brand new soft tyres because of course we didn't make it through into Q2, so from qualifying we have 2 fresh sets of softs, so I think they can maybe hopefully go the distance, but at the moment still having issues on the rear end. You can see the track is still a little bit damp here and there. A massive mistake from me, and Giovinazzi goes to the inside. The Alfa Romeo car is so quick in a straight line, it would seem, but also just has the downforce through that section, and you can see I'm just going constantly wide everywhere. It's not the best driving in the world, but it's because it's so tricky out there. You can't tell from the visual aspect of the circuit, but it definitely was not fully dry yet. Even though it was time for the dry tyres, there was still that kind of natural understeer that I was taking my, I just was turning. So tricky conditions, but what did cheer me up was I just asked Jeff there on the bottom right, you would have seen, about the driver in front. You can kind of hear him in the background talking about that as I talk, so sorry about that. But he just told me, essentially, info about Leclerc, and he says Leclerc has 2 stops to go. So I think a load of the guys who qualify in the top 10, they don't have any fresh softs, and the softs they've got won't go the distance, won't make a one-stop work from here. So I think we can go to the end on just 2 sets of soft tyres, albeit right now it's not looking too great. A lot of understeer everywhere, and Giovinazzi's closing up to us, as well as Grosjean, but I think we can go to the end on 1 more stop, whereas everyone else ahead of us, they might be making 2, as Giovinazzi sends one to the inside with DRS open, I think that was as well. I think it's activated now, as we use some ERS to get back at him and switch back on him, essentially on the right. But here comes the Italian again, and also the Frenchman of Grosjean on the left-hand side, as we 3 wide into this right-hander. Very close stuff, bit of contact made for all 3 of us, and we maintain the track position, but for how long can we do that on lap number 13? Giovinazzi again, so strong off that corner. Even though I'm using some ERS, he's so good through that right-hander into this last sector. Through the last corners, I'm just understeering, of course, as the front end's not really turning in, and so the Italian just streaks through with DRS there. So much pace. I don't want to use any ERS here because there's no point. I'm going to try and come back if I can on this straight, as he squirms a little bit on the rear end. We open up DRS, overtake mode, engage. We're in lean mix though, because I want to save some fuel whilst we do this, because we don't have too much fuel to burn right now. But a big dive down the inside, lovely apex there, and we're back up into P12. But this constant fighting is not really helping our cause in terms of ahead of us. Like I said, all the guys who are in the top 10 or in the top end of the midfield, they don't have the soft tyres to go to the end on just 1 more stop. So they'll be making 2 extra stops. So at some stage, basically, whilst I was fighting Gio here, I basically just accepted, hang on, there's no point fighting Gio, because he's clearly so much quicker than me. This Alpha, let's be real, it's got way more upgrades than us. It is quicker, especially in a straight line. So why don't I use him like a horse and carriage? So I tried to go down the inside of him here. This was the final straw. That was the kind of nail in the coffin that I can't compete against Giovinazzi in the corners. So then I switched on my kind of thinking mode and went, let's use him as a horse and carriage. He'll be my horse. I'll be the carriage. He's going to pull us along with DRS, and you can see here already on lap number 18, we gained 2 positions, 3 positions even, up to P9. Norris Perez have come in. Stroll is ahead. He's yet to come in as well. But all those guys, they're on another set of softs. But I guarantee you they're going to make another stop for a 3rd set of soft tyres, because they don't have the tyre wear, because they used all their soft tyres qualifying in higher positions on Saturday. So the 200 IQ play is going to be saving fuel, saving ERS, staying behind Giovinazzi within 1 second, using his pace to pull me along every single straight. Even though we're losing time in the corners, he's pulling me along every straight. And we'll be in a great position to try and capitalise on some people who are making that extra pit stop in this Grand Prix. One of those people may be Sergio Perez. He's right behind us, but he's got some good pace, obviously, in the Racing Point car. Would expect him to be quicker than myself and Gio. So here, we've got to play it, kind of clever and kind of, either pass Giovinazzi and then kind of go with Perez, or we need to try and let Perez through. Perez overtakes Giovinazzi. We overtake Giovinazzi whilst he gets overtaken by Perez. It's all very, very confusing, like Formula 1 chess, essentially. Like I've said before, it sometimes happens a lot when you're in a midfield battle and you're not as quick as other cars. So we let Perez through here on purpose. We're going to use DRS, get close to Perez, and the hope is when he overtakes Giovinazzi, I can basically just swoop in, follow him through on his racing line maybe, and try and get the Italian as well. But it's early days still in the Grand Prix. We've still got a lot of laps there, 15 to be exact. And so, at the same time, I'm also wary of maybe we want to leave the overtake on Giovinazzi till late on in the Grand Prix, when I know I can defend against him. So to that effect, on lap 21, Giovinazzi was getting overtaken there by Perez. It was just great timing that Gio was coming in, so I just follow him in, and this is it. This is myself and Giovinazzi's last pit stop in this Grand Prix, whereas everyone else, well, they've already made that extra pit stop, but they have a further one to go. Gasly on the left-hand side, Ocon, who's just overtaken us on the top left, Albon, they've all got extra pit stops to make, so we are going to be ahead of some of those guys. I don't know if we're going to be ahead of Perez, Stroll, they looked a little bit quick, but maybe we can jump Gasly and Ocon, who at this stage right now are ahead of us, but they've still got to make one more stop. And we've made just our final one just then on lap 22. As we come out, Lewis Hamilton is out of this Grand Prix. So that's one more free position everyone's going to get, but we're going to get in this Grand Prix. For Hamilton, the race leader, this was. Engine failure out of the lead. A very commanding lead as well, as Bottas is nowhere to be seen. And he parks it up there in the gravel trap to the runoff area. What a shame for him. So that Mercedes goes up in smokes. And so the championship leader, I believe, is out of this Grand Prix. So we're now on lap 23, purple first sector. Pace is looking good now. The track is fully dry, and the pace and the feeling of the car is much better than that first stint on soft tyres. So, lap 23, 13 to go. There's still plenty of action here, because myself and Giovinazzi are actually closing up on Grosjean, who you might remember was behind us. So, I think Grosjean undercut both of us, so he actually did a really good strategy, but he basically got probably these purple sectors that I'm getting right now. So it's just the ebb and flow of this Grand Prix. As you can see, the lens flare comes out, so the sun is slowly creeping its way through this Grand Prix. Bit of understeer there, unfortunately, because the car still isn't, obviously, got the downforce to compete with these cars ahead. But what I am doing is staying within 1 second and just pulling myself along with Giovinazzi. Like, it's very clear. It should be, I think it should be very clear visually. You can clearly see I don't have the pace in the corners compared to Gio. But every straight we're pulling through. We're using the engine. Like I said, our biggest advantage is our engine right now, and we're just using that to good effect within 1 second. And so can we use that and try and maybe get both these guys in one go, maybe, as we go on to this straight? DRS open, ERS, Giovinazzi, he's going to make a move on the left-hand side on Grosjean there. Grosjean stays on the middle, and so we go on the outside there, very close to Giovinazzi's rear left tyre. Grosjean is pretty okay on the entry, but on the exit, so poor. We get a great launch. DRS open again for this second bite of the cherry. Giovinazzi does not have DRS, and so we go for it. He squeezes us to the inside, but we make it through. Lock up on the front right, but no! Oh, what a beautiful switchback! That is for Giovinazzi. Wow, fair play, fair play. What a great move there from Gio. I must say, you got to give credit where credit's due. That is really great racing from the AI. I thought I had him hook, line, and sinker, but he just switched back me like I would have switched back someone else based on this game. So wonderful stuff. Really good to see the AI racing that well. But that just shows I need to use Gio as a kind of way to pull myself through. So, you know, again, maybe we just leave the overtake till like the last lap, maybe. That might have to be the vibe. And now on this lap, this is where things get interesting. Lap 27, and here we are, Leclerc in the pit lane. You've got Perez also there, and they're behind us. They've made that extra stop because they didn't have the fresh soft tyres from qualifying like we did, myself and Giovinazzi included. And so this is where the interesting thing happens as we make a big dive on the inside of Giovinazzi, because my thought is here, now's crunch time. I think this is the time to make that move and try and push on and defend against Giovinazzi, because here we go. The racing point gets right on the back of Giovinazzi. Down the inside, Perez goes, and it's a real fast overtake there on the inside there as he really squirms through down the hill, and he gets the overtake done. Leclerc behind Giovinazzi now. So this is the question here. Can we hold on to, not P8, can we hold on to P9? Because Perez, he's going to overtake us. He's in a faster car, much faster car. There he goes. But now we've got 20, it's lap 28. We've got 8 laps to go in this Grand Prix. I'm going to try and use Perez the same way I use Giovinazzi. I'm going to basically I'm not going to compete in the corners, but I'm going to try my utmost best to use my ERS strategically to stay within 1 second. So I use it in the second sector where I don't have the downforce off the corner on the right-hander. Use ERS a lot to stay within 1 second. And I just got to pray and hope that this plan works. Of Perez pulling me along. Behind me, I hope Giovinazzi fights Leclerc quite a lot. But even if he doesn't, eventually Leclerc will overtake me, I guess, as well. This is still a fight between me and Giovinazzi. We're not fighting Perez and Leclerc. We're still fighting Giovinazzi. The people we've actually got to jump on and have, you know, caught out and finessed with this strategy of having fresh and soft tyres, we've already overtaken them. They're miles behind us. They're, you know, the Gaslys, the Ocon. They were ahead of us, but not as far ahead as Perez and Leclerc. So now they're miles behind us, having made that extra pit stop. So they're the people we've jumped. And so I'm not looking to fight Perez and Leclerc. I'm looking to still fight Giovinazzi for the end of this Grand Prix for the last potential points-paying positions. And you can clearly see on lap 29 here, this plan is working right now because Leclerc's past Giovinazzi, but we're still right up the back of Perez. Like, we're pushing him through this right-hander because our engine power is so decent actually right now. We're using ERS at the right time. DRS is so powerful. We're on the back of Perez. And so here we are, 5 laps to go. We're still on the back of him. Almost, you could even say we're pressurising him a little bit in Sector 1 at least, but Leclerc is now gaining on us, behind us. But look how far Giovinazzi is on the minimap. You can't even see where Gio's dot is on the minimap anymore. So we are doing the work. Leclerc is going to overtake us probably this lap, I would say, on lap 32. So we're doing the work to maintain and get that last position, that P10 that we'll drop into once Leclerc overtakes us. That's the position we're trying to fight for, bases. Oh, Sergio Perez! Oh my word! Sergio Perez has an engine failure ahead of us, but you're around the outside of the Mexican. Leclerc overtakes him, but Perez, he goes up in smokes. It's a calamity for the Mexican in the Racing Point car. Leclerc down the inside. We're going to try and fight a little bit, but he's going to pass us anyway. Like I said, he's in a Ferrari car, but this is amazing. This race has had everything. It's had rain, virtual safety car, AI mistake in the wet, spinning around. Great battle with our teammate earlier, Schumacher in the wet. Engine failure, fighting Ferraris, top cars, retirements, everything. The only thing that's been missing is a full safety car. Leclerc has passed this, but it doesn't matter because I was set this entire race for that entire dry period. The entire master plan was trying to orchestrate a P10. We're fighting so hard and have to work so cleverly for just 1 point in this race. But now we've been gifted a second position. We could be on for 2 points here, and it may not seem like much. It's not. It's just 2 points, but you can hear it in my voice how much this will mean to me because this has been such a difficult race. Our car is not quick enough to be in P9 right now, but we've done a masterclass this entire race of just being as clever as we can in the cockpit of where we're placing our car, what we're doing with our car, behind other cars, using cars to our advantage, and we've played F1 chess at the biggest, grandest scale, I feel. And so here we are on the last lap of the Grand Prix, lap 36. Gio is catching us at a rate of knots. He's been catching us at about half a second a lap here, so he's massively quicker than us. So it's a massive thing for us to be ahead of him. But here we come. We fought so hard, and this might be the best race of the season for me, to be honest, in terms of action, but in terms of the reward and feeling in the car, what we've achieved today, I think shoots Monaco out of the water in terms of how slow this car was, especially in the wet, at the start of the dry period. To come home in P9, it's a madness for us, absolute madness.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So Valtteri Bottas won that Austrian Grand Prix, obviously handed to him a little bit by Hamilton's failure, because I think Hamilton was dominating that Grand Prix previously. Verstappen second, Vettel in third. But for us, P9, like I said, I'm still absolutely reveling, getting hyped about that, because our car did not have the pace for that today. We started P17. You saw the pace when we strapped on that first set of soft tyres, but as soon as I let Giovinazzi through and we started that plan of using him as a horse and carriage, that was it. My mind was switched on properly then. I wasn't thinking before then properly, but then I was like, okay, we've got to think about this clever because our car is not quick enough. And we've done it. So it's only 2 points, but it's a very hard fought 2 points. Unfortunately, though, for us, our rivals, Raikkonen did a madness in that Alfa Romeo. That Alfa Romeo is looking very quick now in this season. P6 for him, and so it means that Alfa Romeo close up to us in the championship, actually. So even though it's a great day in the office, I'm very happy about the race. It's actually kind of bad news in the constructors that it closes up. And this is actually turning into a mega fight between Alfa Romeo, myself, Renault, and I think AlphaTauri is kind of there, but they're kind of pulling away from everyone a little bit, and kind of in no man's land between Renault and McLaren there. But Yeah, mega race for us. We beat Ocon as well after being out-qualified by him by such a large margin. So that's also good news for us today. And we also got all 3 sponsors. So we get a cool $876K of bonuses here this race. So we have now got $5.59 million in the bank. Absolutely awesome. Plenty of cash to do whatever we want with the teammate situation next episode. And also, hopefully, some cash to look into either saving for the marketing department or looking to HQ upgrades further right now. I don't know. We'll decide that next episode. But finally, guys, get voting. Continue voting if you haven't already for the teammate decision. You are my board of directors. So you guys help me out with the decisions here in this series. So vote if you want to get involved with that. But if you guys did enjoy the episode, I hope you did, because I really did enjoy that race so much in the cockpit, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'm aarava. Hope you guys enjoy today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.